Hello everyone, welcome back to the another episode of the Traders Gap. So this is going to be the weekly market breakdown playlist. I'm going to start from there. So this is the first time I'm doing weekly market breakdown, and I'm planning to do this every week. So I'm going to cover euro dollar, pound dollar, and gold. And let's see in future if we can cover the other pairs as well. But for now, let's start with the euro dollar, pound dollar, and gold. If you are new to my channel, hello. I have been trading for the last more than 3 years now. So I use smart money concepts. So you're gonna relate a lot if you trade smart money concepts as well. And yeah, let's get straight into the euro dollar. What do we have on the euro dollar? Let's quickly go on the weekly time frame to see what's happening. So as we know, weekly time frame, we had this strong bullish move since when was it? Since start of the 2025, and after that we have been in a little bit slow in after we have tapped into this weekly supply. So because this supply is high probability, why it has swept liquidity and has tons of inducement in front of it. So it was a major high that led to the breakup structure as well. So that means the supply is a little bit of high probability for at least to provide the reactions. And so based on that weekly zone, this is going to be significant supply level on the daily time frame, and on the 4 hour time frame it may be the zone as well. So yeah, so that's why it's really high probability supply, and that is why we're expecting a little bit of reactions. We don't know if that reaction is gonna be just to pull back into this demand before we make another high to the upside, or if this gonna be actually a supply that's gonna be the reaction for at least to pull back into this prior range, at least up to the discount before we see another leg up. So that remains to be seen. We're gonna use daily 4 hour and 1 hour to guide us for that. But just looking at the recent price action, we are pretty much bullish. We had this minor demand that led to this break of the highs, and we're coming off some kind of supply on the weekly time frame, expecting a little bit of reactions, probably up to this demand, and we may see another push up like that if 4 hour 1 hour suggests. So that's from me on the weekly time frame. If we go back onto the daily time frame, where I spend much majority of the time, as we note from the weekly, what did we know? That we have been mitigating this weekly supply, but the move has been pretty much corrective. It's not aggressive move like that. It's not that aggressive move. It's pretty corrective. So well, we don't know, but the move has been very corrective. Because of that, I'm not really expecting like this push down, because normally whenever we have that big volume kicked in from some kind of this kind of supply, where is where, so for example here we are expecting some kind of bearish pressure, right? And when the bearish order flow is pretty much corrective, this does not suggest that we are going to get a very deeper pullback. Why? Because this doesn't show that institutions volume are kicking in. It's very corrective. It's very like, it's not that significant. If we had come like that, it would be different. Instead we are coming pretty correctively. What I mean corrective is, like, if you see this one, we have been mitigating all these supplies we had over there. So that means we have tons of buy side liquidity over there. So after we pull back into this demand range, or even pull back up to here, we may see another push up to run this kind of buy side liquidities, which were formed very, very correctively. And after that, we'll see, for example, if we see the sweep and then we've got this strong shape like that, then maybe it's going to be a little bit of high probability to assume that probably we may get a deeper pullback. So that's not the case. That is why, that's what I'm seeing on the daily time frame, right? And let's see if we can get a pullback, because we're still in the premium of this range. This is the low that broke these highs. This this demand zone has not been tapped yet. So there is very, very much likelihood price may wants to come back, at least to tap into this demand before we see another push up. So that's from the daily. Pretty much quick sales up to this demand can be really interesting coming week, until and unless we don't see that strong shift, right? So what do we have on the 4 hour time frame? As we I was saying, the move was very corrective, and if you see, the move has been very corrective, right? We have been mitigating all the supplies, swept liquidity, strong push down. We mitigated the supply as well, and now very, very corrective. This breakup structure from this high is not strong enough as well. See, as soon as we got the 4-hour breakup structure, we barely closed below, and now we have been chopping around. So this does not signal me, this doesn't scream me like it may wants to pull back a little bit deeper. So I'm gonna be more conservative on buys at the moment, because still the supply is in control, and I'm going to be a little bit of less aggressive on the sells, because it doesn't scream me too much. But for coming into the week, I think after we got this breakup structure, we got this fresh supply which has not been tapped into yet. That means there is a likelihood that price is wants to pull back into this supply before we see another push up, because the way the low is forming here, those are low resistance lows. We have tons of liquidities generated below, so that means whenever we have that impulsive move followed by corrective pullback into the key area of value, we may want to see that another impulsive to move to the downside, and then we'll reassess. So if coming into this coming week, simple expectation is, I think longs can be a little bit tricky to play intraday perspective, but we can be aggressive as well. We'll see how 1 hour develops. But as we know, we have been generating this kind of liquidities above, just below this 4-hour supply, which is very high probability because it has swept liquidity, led to this convincing breakup structure followed by a very corrective pullback. So much likelihood we may want to see this kind of highs get swept into the supply, and then once we get that shift on the 1 hour time frame, it can be really high probability to play the sells, at least to run the lows, and then we're going to reassess what happens. Since we have this 4-hour demand range still unmitigated, we may want to come back into here, right? Yeah, that's the 4-hour time frame. Let's go on the 1 hour time frame now. So this gets really interesting, because what do we have? It's very sideways 1 hour price action. If we look the prior range, after we got this breakup structure, we got a pullback pretty straight up vertical shape, and we got this shift, and then we barely closed below. And after that, what did we have? We very corrective pullback into this kind of supplies, and then we got this another impulsive move. We barely closed below, pushed up, couldn't follow through, pushed down, didn't sweep liquidity, pushed up, didn't candle body close above, have tons of liquidity built up to the downside. So I'm expecting this low to go at least. So from where it's gonna go, I don't know yet, but the way we have been forming this kind of equal highs above, I mean, it's not really obvious highs over there, but I can see that there is a weak pullback, push down, pullback, push down, pullback, hasn't mitigated this range yet. So much likelihood that price may want to pull back into here. And if we get that 1 hour shift, then playing sales with the idea of running this low, and also from the daily, what do we understand? We are in the premium, so quick sales can be really interesting to play and to run this kind of lows. So this is how I'm seeing euro dollar. Any buys gonna be a little bit aggressive because we don't have any clear POIs. For sales, ideally we reach this kind of supply, so that we can get extra shift for the confirmation, and then we may play sales to run this kind of lows. Yeah, normally that happens, right? For example, here as well, we got this breakup structure. Where did we pull back? We pull back into this kind of supply, 4-hour supplies, 1 hour supplies. We got another breakup structure. What do we got? We got a pullback into this kind of supplies, and we got a breakup structure. Where did we pull back? We pull back into this kind of supply, and then we got to push down. So same story repeats, like same. We're expecting that pullback into the key area of value, and we may see another push down. So that's how I'm seeing euro dollar. Not much. Let's see how we're gonna develop coming Monday. Probably it's gonna be slow, but let's see, right? Yeah, that's how I'm seeing euro dollar. Let's go over pound dollar now. All right, let's go over weekly first, and then we'll come into the daily. So yeah, interesting price action. The way we are coming after we have mitigating this kind of demand, swept the liquidities, and after that we have been in this strong bullish move like EU, right? It's pretty much the same. Yeah, we have swept tons of liquidities. We have above these highs. If we see this one, we have swept this kind of liquidities. That's why we are getting that kind of reactions, bearish pressure. I'm not the fan of this kind of highs above resting over there. So that's why I don't think we're gonna get a deeper pullback because it's very corrective highs above there. Yes, we have swept this kind of liquidity. That's why we are getting the reactions, because normally whenever we sweep external range liquidity, that is from the prior price action from the prior leg, we often tend to have a pullback or the reaction. So normally reaction happens either from the supply demand zones or after taking significant liquidity, right? That is why we got this reaction from after we saw this kind of external range liquidity. We came back into this demand. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens since we have this weekly demand over there. We may want to see a little bit of pullback into here before we see another push up. Why? Because this POI has swept liquidity. If you see over there, it's not that obvious, but it has swept liquidity. Has led to the convincing breakup structure, breaking and a close above these highs as well. If you see, maybe it's a flip. No, it's not, or maybe it is. Not really, not really. But has soap liquidity. Has forming this kind of chain. Has perfect inducement just above. So we may use this inducement for me to get this one and then go. We have to reassess, but still we are in this supply. Has swept some kind of liquidity. It's not the strongest, and it can be interesting to see what happens. So if we start to see that strong shift on the daily and the 4 hour, then we may assume the high is gonna go, but remains to be seen. The next key area on the weekly is really this one, because has swept liquidity. It was a very obvious sweep with that late very strong move to the downside. Has tons of liquidity just below. So maybe we may expect that deeper pullback from this kind of zones, at least to the discount of this leg if we start to push up. That's a little bit far ahead. We'll just keep it simple and focus on the recent price action. And let's go on the daily. What do we have? On the daily time frame, a little bit interesting. We just remove this one from the daily time frame. Yeah, what do we have? We got this breakup structure. We're coming off this demand, has swept liquidities as well. So this demand is a little bit high probability. I don't like the fact that we don't have inducement, but it's pretty decent. We have been flipped. We have flipped this level as well. Not the best flip, but it has, right. That's why it can be a little bit interesting to see if we can get that bullish trend continue from this area. I don't like the way it's coming into this demand. Why? Because unlike an EU, what did we have? We have been very corrective pullback, but the way GU is forming here, we have swept this liquidity. Sorry, that was weekly liquidity daily time frame. So that's liquidity has swept on the daily time frame of the highs, and then what do we got? We got this strong move to the downside, leaving this kind of imbalances in the price. That means there is some kind of strong pressure, right? We have been mitigating the supply on the daily. What do we have? The other ones, we have been mitigating all these kind of dailies, so it's not that obvious yet. Are we gonna get a deeper pullback, or are we gonna continue higher from there? But let's see. This is going to be the very interesting area for at least what we're going to happen on the overall high time frames, right? Because if this demand fail with a nice flip giving us fresh supply, then I'm gonna expect maybe we're gonna run this one as well, because we don't have anything here. We don't have any clear demand, so we may want to pull back into this prior range over there, and probably we may see this push up, but let's see what happens. This is going to be the interesting area. So for coming into the week on the pound dollar, what I'm expecting is if we see strong shift like that on the daily and the 4 hour and the 1 hour, then I may assume that probably we may run the highs. If we start to see that strong move followed by corrective pullback like that, then yeah, I'm gonna play sales. I won't be more ambitious, because we are still continuing this daily demand, because this often tends to give a reaction at least. So we don't know. Coming into the week, what if we get a little bit of reaction into this supply, and then we may head lower. So yeah, it tends to react the daily zones, because those are the very high probability zones, because that's visible on the daily time frame, because That's the high time frames, right? And this low has broke above this one, has led to the convincing breakup structure. So yeah, we may see some kind of bullish pressure before we see a little bit downside. Yeah, it remains to be seen, but this is going to be the key area where we expect some kind of reversals on the 4 hour, on the 1 hour, and on the daily time frame as well. Let's go quickly over the 4 hour time frame. Now, yeah, as I was saying, we got this strong bearish move on the 4 hour time frame, very corrective move over there, but we have been pretty much bearish out of flow. We are in this coming into this daily demand. Refined demand is over there, so price may wants to pull back into this demand, and we may see some kind of reaction. So, following the 4 hour time frame, I will be a little bit more ambitious to play sells at least up to this 4 hour demand, because it's interesting, right? Because if we look on the 4 hour time frame, where are we coming out? We are coming off nothing. So it can be often be vacuum in the price whenever we see that kind of impulsive move to the downside, because whenever we are here as well, see, we are coming from literally nothing. That's why it became vacuum in price. So there was no any reaction for the pullback. That's why coming into the week, all I'm expecting is a little bit of pullback so we can play longs up to the supply. And then if we see that kind of shift on the 1 hour time frame, then we may be a little bit more ambitious and play sells to play at least up to this demand, and then we're gonna reassess what's gonna happen. So if we get that strong shift like that, then we may assume that the daily high is gonna be weak, and then we'll reassess accordingly. So but if we start to see that strong shift on the 1 hour time frame, giving us high probability POI to trade from with coverage to pull back into this supply, then yeah, we can be a little bit more ambitious and play through that. That's how I'm seeing on the 4 hour time frame. If we go on the 1 hour time frame now, what do we have? So what do we have? We got this breakup structure, pullback, strong bearish move momentum following this breakup structure, giving us 4 hour supply above here. So now the move has been really corrective, and let's see if we can get a little bit of pullback here into the supply with giving a strong shift and play sells. Be a little bit more ambitious into this kind of 4 hour demand. For longs, ideally I want to see the strong shift because we are already into this daily demand. Remember, we don't need to really tap into this 4 hour refined demand, because we can literally react from the daily zones, and this may be the catalyst to pull back into this premium, or we may see that continuation to run the daily highs. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing pound dollar at the minute. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens because we are in the key area of value on the daily time frame, right? So let's go back to the last pair that I'm gonna talk about is gold. It's not the best price action on the high time frames, the gold. If we look here on the daily time frame, let me go back to the weekly time frame quickly and see what's happening. Yeah, pretty much bullish move, right? But since the after that, we have been in pretty much sideways price action. See, it's not the best. We have been trying to pull back. We pull back into this kind of demand, weekly demand, and has been chopping around a little bit. We have swept minor lows here. I think yeah, we have swept minor lows here. A little bit of reactions, not the best because we're trading into this supply that has formed through sweep, but at the same time we have this liquidity resting, so it's not that clean on the high time frames, but still we may find some opportunities on the lower time frames, right? All right, let's go on the daily time frame now. What do we have on the daily? This is the weekly demand that I was talking about, where we tapped into it, and after that we have been pretty much bullish. That was the weekly minor low that I was talking before. Swept liquidity, pushed up, got this shock. We had this in demand. So yeah, overall picture was we got this impulsive move to the upside, followed by corrective pullback into this demand. After we got this demand indication, all I was expecting to run the highs. But what do we have now? So we got this following this recent price action. We got this internal structure of shifting bearish. That means this low is weak. So I'm fully expecting this low to go, but anything can happen because we have swept the lows and we got this V-shaped move coming into this. We have in this demand, swept liquidity, and now we are making its way up. So order flow is pretty much bullish, and this is the demand in control. So coming into the week, this week, what I'm gonna expect is nice pullback into this kind of daily demand. And if 1 hour suggests that we're gonna get that shift, then yeah, probably we're gonna run this kind of highs. And I'm simply expecting this order flow to continue to play the buys, at least to run the highs and eventually these highs. gonna be interesting to see. But over price action not the best. We may see a little bit chop around a little bit, like like building liquidity, and then we're gonna be interesting to see like which direction it's gonna go, because we have been generating buy sell liquidities above, because we don't have that enough sell side liquidity, which is not that flat. That's why it can be interesting to see what's gonna happen. If we continue following this bullish order flow, then I'm more than happy to continue buy to run the highs. So that was weekly, weekly and the daily. If we look on the 4-hour time frame, what do we got? We got this strong bearish structure that was daily internal breakout structure, and we saw that there was a strong strip followed by a very impulsive move to the upside. And what do we got? We got this aggressive push up, so we got this internal structure shift bearish, and now we have been pretty much bearish. But what do we got? We got this strong move to the upside, giving us this fresh demand, indicating the high is weak. We have run the low highs last time, so we are coming off these supplies. If we zoom in a little bit on the 4-hour time frame, yeah, we are expecting a little bit of reaction. So let's see if this reaction is gonna be pulled back into this kind of demand, if we before we see another push like that, or that can be pulled back into this kind of defined demand, sweeping this kind of liquidities, and then we see push up. Or another instances can be, since we got this breakup structure, we pull back into the good area of value, so buy some liquidity, then maybe now it's time to run the load. So because weekly and the daily time frame is not the cleanest, that's why we are seeing that kind of different kind of biases on the 4-hour time frame, because it's not really clean on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame. Because whenever the high time frames giving you that mixed signals, we often get very noise on the 4-hour and the 1 hour, because it's not really obvious, unlike EU and GU at the moment, because gold is pretty much in the sideways on the high time frame. So that's when we take too many losses, so we got to be a little bit of more careful on the gold this time, I think. All right, let's go on the 1-hour time frame. What I'm saying, so simple expectation is on the 4-hour time frame, what do we have? We may play the sales up to this kind of demand before we see another push up, and we're going to reassess what happens to this kind of demand. So talking on the 1-hour time frame, what do we got? So yeah, we have been sweeping this kind of liquidities, and we got to push up. We got this giving us 1-hour bullish range to work from. We have this demand, has not been tapped, but I don't like this kind of sell liquidities below. And if we look here, we don't have any clear demand. We may come back into this kind of demand as well at the extreme. We're gonna see what happens. For now, we are getting that strong reaction from this daily supply. Let's see if we get nice well-developed range like that, then probably we may play that pullback into this good area of value, and if we get that strong shift, then yeah, we'll change our bias and play long with the expectation to run the highs, because we are pretty much bullish on the 4-hour, daily, and the 1-hour order flow, because this was essentially the daily order flow that I was talking about over there. If we zoom in a little bit here, so this was the this was the daily demand, and that was nested within this 4-hour range as well, this one. So yeah, that can be interesting to see if we get that, if we get that strong shift, then we can play the pullback, and then after we raise the discount, if we get that strong shift, then yeah, we'll change our bias and play longs. So that's how I'm seeing gold. Let's see what's gonna happen. And EU and GU are looking clean. Gold a little bit of not the best, because of the price action on the weekly and the daily time frame. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens on euro dollar and pound dollar. Yeah, thank you so much guys for watching. Feedback is appreciated as always. Yeah, see you in the next one. Cheers guys.